A dame, firstly, is a man in a dress. That's what's funny about the dame. There should be no question in anyone in that audience's mind that you're a man, a funny man. I always consider my dame as part of the audience. I'm on the audience's side, so I'm just an extension of them. So I tell them what's happening. If anything goes wrong, I talk to them. I say, who's booked him? It's all gone wrong out there. Don't worry about that. Isn't it cheap? I'm sorry. Get your refunds. I'm a member of the audience. The thing is, I talk to them, and if they don't laugh at the gag, then I like to get a laugh at the fact if they don't laugh. So I like to get two laughs, in fact. So and I talk to them, and I'm part of them, and I point them out, and I speak to them, and if they think a joke's rubbish, I won't just ignore it. I'll talk to them about it and say, we'll cut that tomorrow, or that went well. My favourites are Twanky, Sarah the Cook, and Mother Goose, and I like the traditional ones. The ones like Snow White and Peter Pan, where you play a dame. It's hard. I think it's hard to establish yourself because there's so much of a story going on, particularly Peter Pan. There's so much more going on than Snow White with the dwarves and everything else. I always feel a bit shoehorned in. I'm old school, so I loved all the Terry Scotts and the Billy Dainties and all the old, watching, if you can find old clips of people like George Lacey and Jack Tripp and all those old dames that were, who are no longer with us, who were brilliant. I love the strip. I love, things like the strip, all the old traditional stuff. The ghost gag, obviously, because you're onto a winner with those. I love a slosh scene. I like things like 12 Days of Christmas. I've got that fear in me that I'll go back one year and someone will say, it wasn't as good as last year. So when you are a resident dame, you have to try and keep it fresh. And as soon as, even now, when we're doing Aladdin, once that opens, I'll be thinking about Snow White next year, thinking, right, what are we going to do next year? What's going to make this better? What routines can we use? What haven't we done? I'd forgotten, like the routines that I'd done when I started, that you forget are out there. And there's so many of them now that you could bring back. They only need a little bit of rewriting to modernise them. And there's all those great routines. It's almost like clowning. The costumes have got to be funny. There can't be a dress. It's got to be a funny, over the top. It's got to be big shoulders, big wigs, big hats. Whatever you're at, whether in the old days it'd be OXO or Foster's, or it's got to be something that's funny. I'll never wear the same costume twice. That can be, if you've got a 3 show a day, that can be hard. There's got to be one thing that hopefully will bring the house in, and things like Wrecking Ball, because that happened that year, the Miley Cyrus thing, and we said, look, we've got to do that, and we've got to do it properly. So I had this bikini made and the Miley wig. And literally, it brought the house in. As soon as I came on and the music played, no one spoke for you could speak for 5 minutes. People were just crying. And people still tweet me now or have stopped me in the street to say, Wrecking Ball was the funniest thing. The hardest thing, of course, is topping it, because you think, well, next year, I've got to top that. How do I do that? What I consider all the greats have gone, they've long gone. So we need new greats, and we need people just to do their homework and keep the tradition alive, and look for all that stuff that people were doing years ago and keep that going.